This is my cube method review. We just tested today, and in this video I'm just going to run through how we ran it, some of the things that we did to change it. I'll break down each lift, and I'll go over my results for what happened today. Basically, to start off our plan, we went pretty much by the book. We did change the actual schedule slightly, and I'm not sure, I don't think this had any impact on our results. I'll get to that in the end when I talk about my own results. But we started off week 1, heavy deads, rep squats, and speed bench. Week 2, deadlifts for reps, speed squat, heavy bench. Week 3, speed deadlifts, heavy squat, rep bench. So then we just started back over every 3 weeks, cube. It's a little bit different from what the book had started us off on, and the main reason was because we deadlift on Mondays, we squat on Thursdays, and we bench on Saturdays. And we threw our bodybuilding day in on Tuesday. So it actually worked out pretty well. We always felt recovered enough to go into, even though we squatted on Thursday, Monday rolled around, we were ready to pull again. And I think the main reason that worked out that way was just because in 1 week you never lift 2 lifts heavy. So the rotation actually worked out really well. A couple of the things that we changed with the squat, we didn't change anything. We kept it almost 100% to what the book said. I forgot to say, I'm a 220-pound lifter, raw, no wraps, just belt. One of the other guys that ran it with me, his body weight's around 210. He was previously a 198 lifter. He's a little taller. He's like 5'10", so we're trying to convince him to go 220. So, but he's also raw, no wraps, just belt. The other guy has actually never competed before, but wanted to get stronger, so he ran it with us, and his body weight's about the same as the other fella. He's around 210. Hopefully we can get him to compete. Anyways, squat, we didn't change anything, nearly 100% by the book. Bench, we changed it just a little bit at the end, the heavy week, where our percentages were 90%, 92.5%, 95%, all singles. We went ahead and got back on the bench instead of doing floor presses. I felt like it would be beneficial to get back on the bench the week before we actually test, to make sure that when we go to test, the bench doesn't feel foreign, because it's quite a bit different than a floor press. So we wanted to, it was my idea, hey, let's get back on the bench so that it feels right to us when we test. And then the deadlift, it calls for a lot of pulls off of blocks. I am a sumo lifter when I pull. My other 2 training partners that ran the program with me are also sumo lifters. And as a sumo lifter, typically your weakness is going to be off the floor, be stronger at lockout. So I figured, we're going to do more. We did all of the deficit work that the cube calls for. I liked that. But basically, anytime it called for pulls off of blocks, we went ahead and went off the floor. Or we made it even harder and made it a deficit. I just thought that for us, for our particular needs, that we needed to tweak that. And I think going into the next 9-week cycle that we run, I think we're going to continue to do that. Just because I don't think it's beneficial to us, because the percentages aren't even that high anyways when you pull off the block with the cube. At least the ebook that I have that calls for. I see the benefit of pulling off blocks in my mind is to put weight in your hands that is above 100%. But that's a different story. So the only thing we changed with the deadlift was, instead of pulling off the blocks, we pulled off the floor, or even in some cases we went ahead and pulled off a deficit as well. into our results. I'll speak for the other two fellows first before I talk about myself. Both of them made good gains. The one guy that's never competed, he made progress on all 3 lifts. I want to say that we set his 1 rep max in the deadlift at 500. We set his bench, I want to say he was around 265 when we started, and he finished up at 281. He ended up, I didn't say what he deadlifted. I think he ended up deadlifting 545 or 550 today. So he made some great progress sumo. And then he ended up squatting I want to say 460 or 470. We had him working off of a 420 or a 430 max. The other guy, his squat went up. He had an 11-pound PR over his best meet lift ever. Ended up squatting 474. His bench, his bench is a little bit of a struggle for him right now. His best in the meet is 270. I want to say 275. Today he hit 264 pretty easily, but his butt came up, so we ran it like a meet. We red lighted him. He went 281 after that. His butt came way up, and he couldn't get past halfway. For him, it's more of a mental barrier, and it's also a technique, a setup. His ass is coming up real quick, so I think we just need to tweak his technique and just keep hammering away, and I think eventually he's going to make progress. You always have a lift where you just kind of get stuck in a rut. His deadlift, we started him. He switched over to sumo. He was a conventional lifter for the longest time in the 181 and 198 class. And his best pull ever, conventional, at 198 was 573, I believe. Today, he ended up pulling 567 sumo, which is a huge PR for him because sumo's it's a different lift. But also we had his working at the beginning. We set his percentages off of 500 because when we started, I don't think he could have pulled a whole lot more than 500. Maybe 5 and some change. But his 567 today was a grinder. But there's some things that we can fix, and he's got at least 2. We can run the cube 2 more cycles, so 18 weeks more of work before his next meet. So he's not competing till the end of June. So he has a ton of time to close the gap and get that 600 deadlift. That's a big goal for him. Regardless of body weight, he wants to pull 600, and I think he'll absolutely do it. Definitely sumo. For me, real quick, I just want to say that I think my results are a little bit, they're skewed. I have a 1-month-old child, and for the last almost half of the cube for me was, the last about 4 weeks of the cube, I was running off a little to no sleep, so recovery was terrible. I don't believe that's an excuse. I believe it's a legitimate reason for me to not make progress that I would want to make. So I think that this next 9-week cycle that I run is going to be a much better assessment of how well the cube works for me. But anyways, another problem that I had today was, for some reason, I decided, hey, let's squat in wraps today. Let's test in wraps. Well, I've used wraps 2 times up until now. So that was kind of insert head right up your butt and don't put your glass belly button on. That was one of those moments. I don't know why I did that. I would have been much better off just, hey, let's just squat raw, put a belt on and squat. I do feel like I got stronger squatting, and my reason for this is the week before we squatted, we did our 90, 92.5, 95% singles, and I hit 551 for my 95%. I was basing, I think my percentages were based off of a 585 squat. I went a little bit below what I hit in the meet. I think that's what the book says to do, and I hit that 551. Fairly deep rep, real sloppy. I lost my tightness at the bottom. My left knee caved in. It was just a real sloppy rep, but I was able to power through it much easier than I'd ever powered through a sloppy squat before, not to mention it was one of the fastest 551s I'd ever hit, period. So looking at that, I thought, well, you know, I think I'd gotten stronger considering. And then today, what happened was I went up to 496 raw, no wraps. That was my last warm-up, and it felt great. Then I went 551 wraps, opening attempt, and it felt okay, but I was kind of feeling it, trying to feel that depth, and the rep ended up okay, but to be honest, it wasn't a whole lot faster than my 551 the week before with no wraps. So at that point, I should have been thinking, well, probably not going to go so great. Needless to say, my next two attempts stapled me. I went 601 on both, stapled me. My best raw squat ever with no wraps, just a belt, was 601 in a meet. So today I kind of screwed myself by putting the wraps on the squat. I should not have done that. I should have just went raw, belt, and seen what I could do. I felt like I had gotten stronger from, based on the way the 551 the week before had went, being a sloppy rep, and still being able to power through it, no problem. But I don't know. I can't say, because I kind of messed that up. Into the bench, I definitely felt like my speed, my strength off of my chest definitely improved. I feel like my lockout may have fallen behind a little bit, so I'm going to tweak some things. But anyways, I went 402 for my opener, no problem, very nice, very easy, pretty speedy. 440 was my second attempt. Great bar speed off the chest, and I actually slowed down a little bit at lockout. So my best in a meet up to this point at 220 is 446. I knew that, hey, I want to set a PR, so I'm going to go 451, which ends up being 5 pounds, is 2.5 pounds a hand. I figured, hey, that's doable. I knew it would be close. I knew it would be a grinder, but I thought I could do it. So once again, get down, pause it. Great bar speed off the chest, and I just missed it at lockout. I mean, I need another inch to finish the lift, and I just couldn't get it. So I think one of the things I'm going to work on this next 9-week cycle is going to be finding a way to improve my lockout. Into the deadlift. Deadlift, I've been having some issues with my glute hamstring area. The last 2 or 3 weeks just kind of been bothering me. Progressively got a little bit worse. I kind of had to back off the deadlift a little bit in the last few weeks. I felt like that hurt me a little bit. On top of the fact that, hey, sleep just has not been good at all. I've got a month-old child, and they need to eat. That's just the way it is, and he's a little colicky, so sleep has not been good, so I can't recover. However, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks into the program, right before my child was born, I hit an easy, super easy double with 585 off of a 1.25 inch deficit. Probably the easiest double I've ever hit with 585 resetting the reps, not to mention it was off of a deficit. So at that point I'm thinking, there is no way in heck I'm not going to set a PR on my deadlift. I was thinking I'd probably pull around 670, 675 at that point, about 5 weeks in. My best pull ever in a meet was 661. Today I felt pretty good, opened with 595, no problems. It's a habit I developed somehow. I don't know if I'm favoring my hamstring glute area a little bit and this has caused me to do it or what, but as soon as I start my pull, I rock forward for some reason, never done this before, and the bar swings out away from my shins, making it that much harder. 595 was easy despite the bad technique. I went ahead and went to 640, which is 20 pounds less, 21 pounds less than my best pull, but I knew today I probably wasn't going to be around 100%. Because of my glute hamstring and because recovery hasn't been that great. Went ahead and went 640. I completed the lift. It wasn't fast by any means. It was probably all I had in me today. But again, as soon as I start my pull, I rock forward and the bar swings away from me. And when that happens, it puts you in a terrible position leverage-wise. So, that's something I got to fix. I got to find a way to fix that. So, all in all, I'm a little disappointed with my test today, but I don't attribute that to ineffectiveness of the cube method. I think the cube method can be very effective. I like the way it works. I like the scheduling. I like how I feel going into a heavy day. I like the bodybuilding day. I love the rep work that we do with dumbbells, with band pushdowns. I love the fact that I'm squatting twice a week. there's just some great things that I really enjoy with the cube method. Moving forward, some of the things that I will change with the squat, I am going to push myself as hard as I possibly can on the safety bar squats and the Olympic squats, the close stance. Those are the lifts that make the squat harder, and I think pushing myself harder on those is going to allow me a little more progress, and plus hopefully a little more sleep will allow for better recovery. In the bench, I got to find a way to train my lockout. So I think what I'm going to do is, on some of those days where we're doing the heavy floor press, or even when it's a speed day, I'll go ahead and move my grip in on a couple sets and do some close grip work within those sets. I'll still do my comp grip, but I'll also do some sets close grip to get those triceps involved a little bit more. And then deadlift, we're going to keep it the same. I just got to figure out a way to get my form back to the way it was and not rock forward. Keep that bar in a great position leverage-wise. We're still going to try to limit the use. Probably won't pull off blocks at all, because it's just, in my mind, for me and for the other lifters that are involved in our little group that are running together, for us, I think pulling off of a deficit or off the floor is going to be the most beneficial to us. So that's the way we're going to do it. We are actually going to run it exactly as the book says this time, with the exception of our schedule being we pull on Mondays, bodybuilding day on Tuesday, squat Thursdays, bench Saturday. That'll be our schedule, but we'll actually run it, as far as speed, rep, or heavy, we'll run it the way the book has it set up this time. And we're actually going to start right away on Monday. Today's Saturday, we're getting started on Monday, so we're going to hit this again for another 9 weeks, rest a week, and then test again and see where we're at. Thanks.